Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, September 15th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect mostly cloudy skies with a high of 90 and a chance of thunderstorms in San Antonio today. On the eve of voting today on a 2021 budget and tax rate, Bexar County Commissioner directed County Manager David Smith to look for more than $1.3 million in spending cuts in order to save half of the 38 deputy constable positions proposed for elimination. Trade between the U.S. and Mexico is down 21% from last year, but experts expect quick recovery when the pandemic ends, spurred by the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement. In the short term, one of the crown jewels of Texas camping reopens today. Big Bend National Park's Chizos Basin Campground will welcome campers for the first time since July. And now let's move on to our top stories for the day. The Texas State Teachers Association on Monday asserted that schools statewide are not fully adhering to COVID-19 safety guidance, including Governor Greg Abbott's mask mandate and social distancing rules. In the 2 weeks since most schools once again began welcoming students, more than 650 of the group's members from 135 districts reported issues ranging from difficulties with ventilation systems to inadequate supplies for protecting themselves and their classes from the virus. The association said the findings, collected through an online survey, reinforce earlier concerns that teachers, students, and other school employees may not yet be safe in the classroom. Kayla Harris examines the alleged violations, including a breakdown of which San Antonio area districts reported the most concerns. Over the last 2 weeks, thousands of unemployed San Antonians have turned to the city's new $75 million job retraining program for help, and many of them landed in a purgatory of long wait lines and glitches that prevented them from signing up. The program, which aims to train people thrown out of work in the COVID-19 recession for jobs in healthcare, cybersecurity, construction, and other industries, began accepting applicants August 31st. About 1,300 people applied in the first week. A spike in calls to Workforce Solutions Alamo overwhelmed the agency's telephone systems, resulting in long waits, hang-ups, and a barrage of negative comments on social media. Brandon Lingo has the latest details in this story in partnership with Report for America. A former University of Texas at San Antonio professor who said he was hired to lead the chemical engineering department has sued the university in federal court, alleging he was discriminated against when he was fired this year. He also filed a charge with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, alleging discrimination and retaliation because he is over 40, Muslim, male, and Egyptian, and because he exercised his constitutional right to freedom of expression when he complained to his superiors that he had been targeted for more than 2 years. The unnamed professor is an internationally recognized nanotechnology expert who came to UTSA in the fall 2017 as an associate professor with the promise that he would be director of the chemical engineering program, according to the complaint. Alia Malik has more on his case at the link in this episode's description. Elena Yala writes, quote, "Not so long ago, state and local officials vehemently denied the Alamo grounds constituted a cemetery, even after being officially designated as one. In June, the state's Historical Oversight Agency declared the Alamo's Mission-era church a verified cemetery in light of the recent discovery of multiple human burials. Such is the state of Texas's relationship with the First Peoples of Texas, especially when a $450 million restoration project at the Alamo is on the line. Read Elena Yala's latest column to find out who she thinks deserves the blame for the broken relationship with Tap Pilam. To keep our readers up to date on the path of COVID-19, the Express News has built a dashboard of interactive graphics showing the spread of the virus in the San Antonio area, in Texas as a whole, and across the United States. We've also created an interactive map of San Antonio for COVID-19 testing sites that don't require a doctor's referral. You can find a link to the dashboard and the interactive map in this episode's description. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside your Express News subscription. With 101 new infections, Bexar County surpassed 50,000 confirmed coronavirus cases on Monday, but reported no new deaths for the first time in more than a month. After excluding Chick-fil-A as a vendor at San Antonio International Airport last year, the city must now offer the Georgia fast food chain a spot at the airport if it wants federal officials to drop an investigation into the controversial decision. A lack of blood drives during the coronavirus pandemic has caused a dangerous drop in the South Texas blood and tissue supply, with the center only about 2 days away from running out of blood, according to the organization in a news release. In the month that slain soldier Vanessa Guillen would have celebrated her 21st birthday, a bill in her name will be introduced in Congress to provide safeguards for reporting sexual misconduct in the military. Harvey Faudia, a Via Metropolitan Transit driver remembered by colleagues as a humble man with an impressive driving record, has become the first Via operator to die of COVID-19. An international team of astronomers has discovered a molecule that hints at life on our neighboring planet. The discovery of phosphine on Venus could mean that there are tiny floating life forms on the second closest planet to our sun. U.S. airlines desperate for more passengers are giving up a revenue stream that amounted to $2.8 billion in 2019. In this week's Wary Traveler, Randy Diamond writes, quote, "Let's enjoy the removal of change fees while we can, assuming you feel safe flying in the middle of a pandemic." Home buyers in Bexar County and surrounding counties closed 3,693 homes last month, an increase of just 7% from the same period last year, according to the San Antonio Board of Realtors on Monday. "This would be a great space for entertaining back when we did that kind of thing," a real estate agent told Madison Eisler on a house tour. Read more about house hunting during a pandemic in this week's Skyline. San Antonio's Livingston Med Lab LLC has carved out a niche testing the poor and homeless for coronavirus, but it's now in peril. Livingston sought bankruptcy protection after a company that supplied almost $5 million in COVID-19 testing kits but has not been paid obtained a state district court order directing Livingston to return the kits. Congress is poised to allow gaming on the lands of 2 Native American tribes in Texas after the U.S. House passed a bill, but standing in the way of the bipartisan legislation is U.S. Senator John Cornyn. It's a rare instance of the longtime Republican senator clashing with members of the Texas delegation from his own party. A national gun violence prevention group on Tuesday launched a $200,000 Spanish-language digital ad campaign slamming Tony Gonzalez, the Republican running to replace retiring U.S. Rep. Will Hurd in the 23rd Congressional District. In an explosive revelation in the new book Rage, Trump tells journalist Bob Woodward that he downplayed the gravity of the pandemic, saying he wanted to spare the country from panicking. The Express News editorial board writes, adding, "Real strength lies in confronting crises, not minimizing them." Since the pandemic began, we've talked frequently with bow-tied vaccine researcher Dr. Peter Hotez. In that time, he's emerged as not just one of Texas's best explainers of COVID-19, but as one of the country's best. As a frequent guest on cable news, he aimed to interpret scientific findings for as broad an audience as possible, and was one of the rare experts who appeared frequently on both Fox News and MSNBC. But recently, he abandoned his policy of not criticizing the White House. This week, we discuss why he did that, whether he thinks it'll be safe to take a COVID-19 vaccine, and the value of using his strange pause to think about our lives. As the coronavirus pandemic has created new hurdles for every arm of college athletics, UTSA is pushing forward with the $41.5 million Roadrunner Athletic Center of Excellence, erecting walls this week as completion remains on target for next summer. The new San Antonio drive-in theater boom evokes memories of watching movies under the stars. Java fiends around Southtown will soon be able to support asylum seekers in the San Antonio area while catching their morning buzz. Bernie remains number 1 in the EN Sub 5A football rankings. Bernie's Geneva Carangaro is the volleyball player of the week. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing for Tuesday, September 15th. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside of your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.